we're getting some sheathing on. It's just 1-inch boards, and there's some gaps and stuff, but we're not really worried about them. We're probably gonna try to get something to fill the gaps, and if not, there's gonna be tar paper over this, and then there's gonna be cedar breather over that, and then there's gonna be cedar shakes over those, and then in the back there'll be insulation and our interior sheathing. So it's not a huge deal. We are getting ready to put up our first set of rafters. We're gonna just stand them up. We're not going to fasten them in just yet. We're gonna stand this pair of rafters up, so they're just hanging out up there, and then we're gonna take some measurements for the gable studs, and then we're gonna cut them, and then fasten those in first, and then we'll stand up the rafters and try to fasten those in. What else? Started getting some sheathing on the back as well. Back, south side, whatever you want to say. So now it's starting to be a little closed in. Little bit of, oh, hi chicken. So yeah, you can tell there's little gaps, but it's not that huge of a deal. We're really not worried about it too much. The place is so small that if we get the insulation tight enough, we should be able to heat it with a matchstick. So that's the goal anyway. Sorry about this weird focusing. We got a new used phone because our other one is starting to bite the dust, so Craigslist came in handy, and we found a Samsung with, I don't know, camera was good, so that was like our main concern, because we use our camera a lot for videos and pictures. So yeah, we're getting used to the new phone and starting to get things closed in. The roof will be the hardest part because it's going to require a lot of people to get the rafters up, and then after rafters there will be insulation to put up, and then after the insulation there'll be strapping to put up, so there's an air channel, and then there'll be the roofing itself. So it's still just now the middle of August, so we've got plenty of time before winter arrives in earnest. So but we're still gotta kick butt and start moving. So our neighbors, Mark and Carrie, they live near a Tractor Supply. We don't. We live like a long way away from all those big box stores. But they live closer to the big city, and they were like, hey, their Tractor Supply is selling a bunch of pullets. Do you guys want any? So we were like, sure, why not? We got some Cornish birds, which are meat birds. We got some ISA browns, which are good layers. And then we have some buff Orpingtons, which are a good dual purpose bird. The first week or so, we put them in a little dog crate, and that was their home. But we just built this little chicken tractor for, it took us like 20 minutes or something like that. Maybe half an hour or something like that. Not too long. Built out of scrap materials that we had, scrap roofing laying around, scrap lumber, scrap hardware cloth, and now they're loving it. They're foraging in there. They're taking crazy dust baths. We put some grain and water in there for them just so they can slowly transition to foraging. But they're loving it. So this is a pretty cool little teensy little chicken tractor.
Also, we put them in an area where we have sea berries and currants, black and red, and some gooseberries.
There's some giant sunchokes behind you too.
Yeah, so they can fertilize this whole area and mow it. So we don't really have to use fossil fuels for that. So it's dual purpose on our part, and they're happy birds. Right.
Yeah, you can see there's a lot of grassy sort of vegetation here. So this chicken's obviously very jealous. Here are some of those sea berries that Shakoi mentioned. We got a couple of fruits off of, we've eaten most of them already, but we got a couple of fruits off of this one sea berry. So obviously this is a female.
That's a male next to you.
Yeah, this is the male right here. But it's pretty cool to get these awesome little vitamin C packed fruits. They're basically like the citrus of the north. They can grow down to zone 2, I think, but also up to zone 9. So if you live in Florida or Alaska, you could probably grow these. And they're super tangy. But they're packed with vitamin C. Super good medicine and food. Hummingbird, right on the bee balm. Somewhere over there. Anyway, so we got some sheathing up. It's all just, random width boards. We got a first set of rafters temporarily up. I'm working on framing the gable. There's a little window frame right there laying down that you can kind of see. And it was pretty cold this morning and yesterday morning, even though it's only August. It was not cold, but like high 40s, low 50s. Shakoi had a wool sweater on. I had a flannel on and a sweater over that. So it was getting a little chilly. So we're kind of really rushing to get this closed in and done. So we got 3 sides pretty much all the way sheathed. We have to do a couple of small gaps that we had where things don't quite meet up, but such is the case with random width boards. We got the south side, the east side, and this west side basically all sheathed up. We need to go mill some boards this weekend for the rest of the sheathing. We have lots of 9, 10, and 8-foot boards, but those are for the ceiling / roof. So I'm going to take you up into the loft and I'll show you what's going on there. So we have got one set of rafters temporarily up. They're not pegged, they're just clamped, and also clamped to these stiff backs here so they don't fall over. I'm framing a window frame. Small window is going to go right here, and working on gable studs. So the gable studs will go sort of like so, kind of like that. The rafter set is pushed over a little bit because this stiff back is on our sheathing, not the outside of, oops, just hit my head. They're on the sheathing and not on the outside of the frame right here. So the rafters are a touch past where they're supposed to be, but that's okay, just for laying out purposes. So yeah, we decided, initially we were going to cut so they're flush with the inside of the rafters or even a little bit in, and there was going to be kind of a lip here to help the rafters be stabilized. But then we decided we're probably going to have them flush with the outside of the rafter like that, so that way our sheathing on the outside is all flush and fine. And just for these 2 end sets of rafters, so you see how this is hanging in like this, for the end sets we're going to end up putting a fake 2x6 stud here, not stud, but on the face of the rafter, so that it looks like the rafter is overhanging the inside of the wall a little bit. Also, I forgot to mention that it is Thursday today, and we have a bunch of people coming over on Saturday to help us get these rafters up. So I'm going to show you some of them. But we're pretty much rushing to get them done. Not rushing, but Saturday, so we've got a couple days to get the rest of the cuts done. So there are some right there, a couple right there, one right there, one right there. Then you can see some also through the window over here. So we've got basically about half of them lapped. So we've just got to do, I gotta cut the rest of them. Shakoi's gonna start sanding them so they look prettier like this and not like that. And then we have to do the bird's mouth cuts and then drill holes through the laps, which are those things up there. You should have seen them in the last episode, I think. Drill holes like that, basically. And then we should be ready to get them up on Saturday. We've got Shakoi's folks coming. Alex, who's our buddy who helped us dig the foundation. Well, he dug the foundation. And also our buddy Mark, who's like our neighbor buddy. Him and his wife Carrie have a camp here, so they'll be here to help. Actually, I think it'll just be Mark here to help. So we've got a couple people coming, and hopefully that'll be enough hands to get all these rafters up. We got a giant pile of wood chips delivered, which is awesome. We'll use these for compost and also for mulch in our beds. Shakoi is spreading some right now. These are some of our nursery beds that could definitely use some mulch to keep some of the stuff a little bit moister, but also to help encourage soil building. And maybe it'll deter the chickens from scratching, because they always see bare soil right here and they end up scratching. And they've dug up a few chestnuts this year, which is kind of annoying. So this is all hardwood wood chips. These are maple and apple wood chips, and I wish you guys could smell it. It smells so sweet.
Apple pie, honestly.
What'd you say?
It smells like an apple pie minus the cinnamon.
And when the guy came and dropped them off yesterday, they were still a little steamy. They'd been sitting in his truck all weekend. So they're starting to heat up a little bit, which is good, especially for compost. It was dropped off by a local dude here in Cabot, and they're a pretty nice guy, and he has a tree company, and he lives in Cabot, but he works a lot more in the cities areas. So he said whenever he has a job here in Cabot or Woodbury or around our area, that he'll come and drop some off for us, which is awesome to have a consistent source. He said it's not very often, but this is a pretty big pile right now, so this should last us quite a little while. That's what we say now until we're like through it at the end of the week, But this is the only place you could really drop it to, which isn't that big of a deal, but we had to get a little bit of it out of the road. Not that there's much traffic on this road, but better safe than sorry.
For local people, for people that want wood chips in their area, there's always tree companies that want somewhere to get rid of it, especially so they don't have to haul it back and forth. So if you see a tree company, you should just flag them down. We've done that in the past where we used to live, and they just dump it.
Yeah, especially if there's like the power companies, they'll trim underneath power lines, and when trees are getting too close to power lines and such, and if you see them trimming and chipping, just stop and ask. Say, hey, do you have a place to drop those chips? If not, I live nearby, and give them your address and a place to drop it, and 8 out of 10 times they'll probably drop it there. So that's been a strategy we've used before, and it works pretty well. Also, it's an app website kind of thing called Chip Drop, and that's where people can sign up for free wood chips. Basically, you sign up, you tell them where you want it to go, You can donate, so the arborist, whoever's dropping your chips, it kind of incentivizes them. We were signed up for that for a long time, but
I think because of where we live, nobody ever wanted to make the haul.
well, yeah, there's not a lot of drops in our area, so which is fine, yeah. So we're just gonna keep an eye out for more arbor companies, more tree companies, and this guy too, who's local. Anytime he has wood chips in the area, he said he'll drop them for us, which is awesome.
There's ramial mulch. It has leaves and stuff too.
Yeah, so some of this is great because this is not just the trunk of the tree. It's basically the whole tree. So you've got everything from
beautiful leaves.
Yeah, from leaf matter to twig matter. Like these are for smaller diameter leaves and smaller diameter twigs. I mean, and not just the whole trunk. So that's good because it's got all the cellulose and lignin of smaller branches, but also a lot of the wood, carbon matter of the larger diameter trunks too. So oftentimes that's better than just the trunks. This is what they call this kind of stuff. They call it ramial mulch. So that's like basically small diameter twigs or even brush chipped up. That has a lot of minerals in it too. So, and the leaves are really important too. All these leaves right here, that has a lot of trace minerals. So that'll be great for compost, and can't wait to spread some of it. So buttons on his screen. So we are cutting collar ties today. 4 of the 7 rafter sets will have these they're not quite collar ties. So collar ties are the top third, rafter ties are the bottom third. So they're not quite collar ties and they're not quite rafter ties. Really what we wanted to do is we wanted to try to prevent some of the spreading strength of the rafters. So the rafters are 4x6s and some of them are going to be green, so they'll be quite heavy. So we don't want to push any of the walls out. So those rafters will have some spreading strength. So the rafter ties or floor joists on this side will take care of that. But we're going to have an open cathedral ceiling on this side. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some 4x6s as collar ties. Sort of. We're going to call them collar ties, even though they aren't. So what we're doing now is, initially we thought we were going to mortise and tenon them, and then we changed our mind. We said we're going to dovetail them. Now we're just like a half-lap dovetail. Now we're just straight half-lapping them because I'm not a timber framer, so I'm just starting to do all these cuts. So we figured the less room for error there is, the better. So basically what we did is we cut, that kind of shape into the rafters, I mean the collar ties. So that way they're going to fit, in the pocket that will be here. And I still have to make a cut into this rafter so that this fits inside the rafter. So there'll be, an opposite cut on this rafter. So these collar ties can fit right in and everything will be nice and flush. It'll look kind of like, that. So all the planes will be flush. So that's what we're going to do next. The last shot I said it was Thursday or something, and we're going to get rafters up Saturday. That didn't happen. That was my friend. That didn't happen because we got rained out, so we didn't want anybody to get hurt with slippery beams and stuff. So we're going to do it this Saturday. I'll have a bunch of hands coming up and helping us, and hopefully we'll get them up. And after that, it's kind of a race to get it closed in for winter because it's September 1st today, so it's pretty. We're cutting close, but we'll get it done. We'll be fine.
Better be.
So first collar tie is cut and all. It's not the tightest fit, up here is we'll have to you know, pull stuff together. I mean, that's what the pins are for. So we'll have some pins, and that will pull this a little bit more snug. But I mean, overall, I'm pretty happy with it for our first more complex cut. I mean, it's not complex as far as timber framing goes, but for a beginner, I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll plane down some of these edges. You know, that hides imperfections, and we will sand this collar tie down and make it look pretty and all that stuff. And so what I did for I was a little confused on these cuts. So as you can see, what I did a plunge cut with the circular saw into here, just to get as far as I could this way, and I did the same thing on this side, and then I just set the depth for the circular saw and cut this way and this way. And then I have a ripping saw, hand saw, that I was using for these cuts, these ones, like, you know, going that way, and that worked really well. But the circular saw blade didn't reach all the way through. I did a plunge cut here or here. There's probably about 1/2 inch or something like that, where it didn't reach all the way through. So I was like, oh man, how am I going to do this? Then eventually I just did a bunch of cuts with the circular saw that way, and ended up chiseling out as best as I could. I don't have a timber framing chisel or anything, you know, the really, really sharp ones. I probably should sharpen that chisel that I'm using, but it worked pretty well to get all the, you know, to get it relatively flat. So everything fits super snug. I'll probably bang that in or something. See, yeah, that helped. Yeah, but we're pretty happy with it. I mean, they look pretty cool, and once they're snugged in and really put together, we're gonna put a peg through here too, on either side, and 2 pegs at the top. You've already seen that, I think. And we've only got to do, I think, 3 of them actually, because I don't know if I'll have to do one in this gable end. So, and then there'll be one rafter set there, one rafter set there, and one there, I think. So yeah, every 4 feet there'll be a set of rafters. So I don't think we'll actually need 4 of them. We'll probably only need to do 3, which is pretty cool, but also kind of disappointing at the same time, because it's a lot of fun doing them. A little frustrating at times, but also pretty fun. So we're gonna eat some dinner, and we're gonna get back to work at them tomorrow, and we will see how much progress we make this week. We'll have to make actually all the progress this week, because we got to get our rafters up.